Hey everybody, I just decided to go live really quick because I wanted to tell you about this little piece of paper that I created for you. So I get a load of questions from everybody about beads and what kind of beads I use and what are the different types of beads that are in my mosaics. So I created this beginner's guide to beads that I use on my bead mosaics. And it's just a really quick reference sheet about sizes and how they're measured, how you purchase them, the different cuts that are available, and also the different types of beads that are made in seed beads and the different kind of finishes that they have. So I made, it's just a really quick one-page reference sheet, but I also wanted to go over it with you and show you some of the differences on this. So we might be here for a little while, but not too long. So the beginner part of this talks about sizes of beads. And on my YouTube channel, Bead Mosaic, there is a short video that goes over that. But really quick, I just kind of wanted to show you the difference. So this, I don't know if you can see this, is a size 15 bead. Very, very, very tiny. What I primarily use are size 11s. So that's what this is. And if you look, you can see the difference in the size between the two. Very different. This is a little bit more manageable. You can really see the holes. In the 15s, they're really tiny, so it's hard to see the holes. Another size that's popular is the 8s. So this is the 11s, and then these are the 8s. And you can, again, you can see the difference between the two. 11s are more popular, 8s are a little harder to find. I find them a really good transition between the larger size, which is a 6, and I'm just gonna grab something off my shelf over here. So this is a size 6. This is the larger size, not the largest, because they do come in 5s and up to 1s, but you can see the difference between the 8 and the 6s. So the 6 is the largest bead that I use, and that's what's shown on this chart that shows the differences. And then this chart shows you kind of a little bit more of a measurement difference between the two. Another thing that this mentions is how beads are sold. Now, most of the beads that I use are loose beads that are sold just loose. Now, Hobby Lobby used to have these little square containers. Now they have round tubes that you can get them in. Most places, however, come in really small tubes that look something more like this. This is usually the largest quantity you get in a retail setting. Michael's and Hobby Lobby have these style. But they are also sold in hanks. So this is a hank, and this is just beads that are pre-strung, and they come in like usually about a dozen strands per package. And you can get these all over the place. They, you know, a lot of the bead suppliers sell them. They're great for jewelry making and things like that. I use them sometimes, not as much as I use the loose beads, but you can also string your own beads, and that's not a big deal. But for me, I don't have time, so I just buy them pre-strung if I'm gonna need them. So another thing that you want to think about when you're doing bead mosaics is the size, the shape of the beads. So beads come in different cuts and shapes. And the ones that are shown on here are basically 3 different ones. This is a triangle, which is hard to see. Now, I forgot to mention, you can download this off of my website. There's a blog page on my website if you go to sabrinafreyart.com, and this is on there as a PDF. You can download it, and then it's also on my do-it-yourself page on my website as well. So there's, when you print it, it'll probably come out better. My printer's a little kind of wonky, but anyway, there's triangle shapes, and then there's square ones, and then there's also what are called hex cut beads. And so some of the differences I wanted to show you is, now I don't have a lot of triangle shaped beads. However, I do have a load of square ones. So this is, these are square beads. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see them or not, but let me see if I can get this up close. So these are square beads, and they are literally like little miniature cubes. Okay, my fingers are dirty. I've been working today. But anyway, they have a hole in the middle, but they're square on the outside, and they're usually that kind of square in the inside as well. These are fun to use. I use them for very, very specific purposes, just because of the way they are. But they make them in all the sizes down to really small ones. They also make them in this square cut. The triangle cut, I don't know if I have any in the triangle, but I do have these, which are a rectangle. So I don't know if you can see that. These are rectangular beads. But I do have, yeah, I don't think I have, I mean, I don't know where my triangles are, honestly. But anyway, they come in triangles. Then the other one is the hex cut beads, which are, let's see if I have a big example for you. I have a lot of small examples. Okay, I'm going to show you this one. So this is a pink one. I don't know if you can see, but do you see how faceted it is? How every bead looks different because it's at a different angle. Those are your hex cut beads. And these are great because they have a lot of reflective value. So I will mix some of these in with my round beads just to get them a little bit more exciting. You know, add a little bit of extra sparkle to them. So those are kind of the shapes of beads. Now, there are a couple of different, well, there's a lot of manufacturers, honestly. And I'm not super picky about manufacturers. I buy what I like, honestly, and what I think I'm going to use. And I also learned early on that there are certain things that other people will not notice and that I won't notice either. And so I love Japanese beads. They're great for making jewelry and really cool, beautiful things like that because they're very uniform. Just like the Japanese, they have that kind of culture. Their beads also have that culture, and their finishes are fabulous. This is a packet, and I don't know that you can see it because I don't have very many of these things. That is of Japanese beads, and they're just perfect. Every one of them is exactly the same. The hole is the same size. Everything about them is wonderful. They also give you a very specific look when you're creating a mosaic with them. So I use that for specific purposes. I don't use them if nobody's going to notice it because they're going to cost me 5 times as much. And if nobody's going to notice that, then I don't want to raise the prices of my work just to satisfy my own sense of perfection. So I use mostly check beads, and check beads are, they're great. They're not as great for jewelry making sometimes because they're a little imperfect. Some of them are. The great thing about the imperfections is that they have wonderful reflective values and they work perfectly for mosaics. And so I tend to use mostly the check beads, and all of them, the Japanese ones and the check beads, all come in the various sizes and different qualities and levels of quality standards. But to get started with this, I would not worry about what the quality of the beads are. If they're not perfect, that's okay, because what you're going to create in the beginning is probably not going to be perfect either. And you don't want to feel like you're wasting money or time on something. I think you learn more from making mistakes and realizing, oh, this works or this doesn't work, or how can I apply this later, rather than stressing over the fact that you don't have perfect beads for everything. But the other thing I wanted to talk to you about is bead finishes. And this part of this, it talks about the bead finishes. And this can also, in addition to my website, be found on the Facebook page, the Bead Mosaic Facebook page. So if you're not a part of that group, this is on there, and there's all kinds of people, over 14,000 now, which is just crazy to me, doing this work and playing with beads like I am. And I don't want to call it playing because it is my profession, but I still like to play. So anyway, some of the different types of beads that are out there as far as the finishes go, one of the most popular is called color lined. And I have a great example of that right here. These are clear on the outside and lined with blue on the inside. So these are really fun, and I used these on the dragonfly recently, if you watched my videos on there, where I actually had them going face up in one area and then I turned them to the side. It was a completely different bead. So it's like getting a 2-for-1. So if you use, these are square, so that helped a lot. They had the square with the color inside. Now, the color inside can be used in anything, like this is a round version of the color inside. This is clear with like a bronze on the inside. Isn't that pretty? So those clear with the inside color, they can be different colors. You also find them with metals and silver lined beads. Those are really, really popular. Let's see, here is a yellow, and then I'm gonna grab a silver lined from over here. Oh, here's a silver line. So here's a great yellow, and you can see the clear with the bright yellow on the inside. Yeah, these are a lot of fun. And then here is a pink with silver line, and this one's a rectangular bead, but you can really see kind of the reflection on that. So these are silver lined. Now, silver lined or any kind of metal lined or color lined can be combinations of clear as well as transparent color on the outside with the color or the metallic on the inside. So those are a lot of fun to play with, and you can kind of get overwhelmed with those. But I just love them. The regular, kind of, I hate to say regular bead, but a transparent bead, so we looked at these earlier, but these are colored, but they're transparent. So you are going to see what is going on the other side of that bead. Let's see if I have any others. I have a lot of transparent beads. So they'll come in different colors. And this is a transparent, but then it also has what's called a rainbow finish on it. So it has a little bit of a shine and a gloss to it. So it's clear, but it has a kind of an aurora borealis effect to it. And I'll talk about that in just a second. Let's see what else I have that's transparent. Oh, let me pick a different color here. Okay, well, these are crystal, just clear, but they're square, crystal cut, transparent beads. So those are a little bit different. And then we also have frosted beads. So frosted beads are, they give a softer look to anything. And I tend to be grabbing from my blues because they're closest. Oh, that's not a good example. Let me pull it out here and see what better example of frosted beads that I have here for you to look at. Oh, here we go. Look at this gorgeous purple. So this is a frosted purple. This is frosted transparent color inside. So this is a 3-fer. But a frosted bead gives a nice soft look to the piece. The one thing you have to be careful when you're doing bead mosaics with a frosted bead is that if you put a glossy coating over the whole top of your piece, then you might lose that frosted effect because the gloss of the coating is going to supersede the frosting on it. So, you know, just kind of be aware of that. Now, another type of bead is an opaque bead, and that is something like this. That is just solid color, okay? And this one happens to be a vintage bead, so it has a little more variation in color. Some of the newer beads would not have that. They would be more like this, where the color is really uniform. And I love the vintage ones because of that variation in color. It's not a perfect thing. And the opaque beads were the beads that I had the hardest time embracing when I started doing this because they seemed so blah. Like it was just yellow or it was just orange and there was nothing to it. And so I tended to gravitate toward the transparents and the silver lines because they were sparkly and they were wonderful. But later on, I realized that the sparklies and the transparents were getting kind of boring because the colors were not as vibrant. They were transparent. And if you didn't use them properly, they could kind of dull down themselves. So I started looking at the opaques again, and I learned to really love them, because one of the secrets to my trees, and everybody loves my trees, but one of the big secrets to that is that I mix the opaque beads with the other types of beads. And if you ever take a close look at any of my pieces, I usually have like a mixture of 10 different kinds of beads in there for the leaves, but it's the opaque ones that really pop out and really give them color. And so I learned to love the opaque beads, even though at the beginning I really kind of shied away from them and didn't enjoy what they had to offer. But now I absolutely love them. Another type of bead that is out there is a luster. Now I'm going to show you these two side by side so you can kind of see the difference between the two. But this yellow is shinier than this yellow. They're both opaque, but this has a luster finish on it, which is kind of a pearlized finish to it. It's just like a sheen. It's not a pearl, which is good because pearls kind of have some issues. But it's a pearlized sheen, and it gives a really pretty softened opaque look to it. And then another one is the Aurora Borealis, which I mentioned earlier. Let me see if I have it, this one here. So this one has, here is a luster. This is the plain opaque. This is the luster, and then this is the Aurora Borealis. And the Aurora Borealis is that rainbow effect. Let me see if I have any others here. I know I have others. Here's one that has the rainbow effect to it. So you can see a little variation in color, and that has a different effect to it. You need to get working on that kit. I see your comment. One of the comments is that she has one of my kits, but she hasn't been brave enough to get started. So you need to just do it. Just do it. Don't worry about screwing it up. So this is a rainbow effect, and it's also known as the Aurora Borealis, or AB is another thing that's on there. Another one is a metallic. So I showed you this package the other day. This is kind of a mixed batch of metallic. And some of these are metal and some of them are coated. So you want to be careful with those. I believe this one is a coated one. It's not as shiny as the ones that are truly metal. So when you look at the difference between the two, you can kind of see that they're just different. And not just in color, but in shine. And then there's also the brilliant. This is like a brilliant gold. And this is a metallic finish. And then something like this, which is considered a metallic as well. And this is an iris finish. So you'll see all of these things listed on the descriptions of the product. Now, my containers have all been reused. These were empty, and I filled them with my own beads that I sourced from a lot of different places. That's why all of my beads are in exactly the same size container. They didn't come this way. I did that myself. So, and then, so the paper, that's what this little guide that I was telling you about. Again, you can find it on my website under the blog post, and there's stories about how I create different pieces and my inspiration and stuff on there. So you might have fun with that. I try to keep the blogs really short, but they have a lot of pictures with them and things like that. Or you can go to the Bead Mosaic Facebook group, and I also posted it on there. So I just wanted to give you guys something that would help you out. I'm going to start doing more videos with help for you in the future. I get a lot of the same questions over and over again, and I want you guys to have the information that you need in order to be successful at this and have a good time doing it, because I love doing what I do. So you'll be seeing more of these one-pagers, kind of reference sheets for you, and more videos as well. And I'm just gonna kind of talk about what I do and what I use and how I use it. And even if it's repetition, I think you guys will have fun with it. Videos might be a little more raw than they used to be. I'm just getting used to being in front of the camera. And even though I spent years in the classroom and I'm used to people seeing me talk, the camera is a different thing than a live audience. But if you have questions, feel free to email me or message me with any questions. Also, definitely look at the YouTube channel. I'm going to post this on the YouTube channel, so it'll be on there for future reference. But there are 30 videos on that YouTube channel that are mostly tutorials on how I do my work. And that way you can enjoy those. And I'm going to be expanding on those. I have a lot of footage now that I can put together to expand those videos. So I hope you enjoyed this. Try not to take too much of your time. I think my husband's upstairs cooking, and we're having crab cakes for dinner tonight. So I'm really excited. I'm always excited when I don't have to cook, but I never have to cook. So that's a good thing. But I hope you guys are doing well, and I hope you enjoyed this. And let me know if you have any questions. Talk to you later.